Well, the woke mob is still out there. I say the woke mob, but it's really the woke minority is still out there trying to get everybody to bow to LGBTQ sexual morality, which there is no sexual morality from their perspective. Everything is fine and dandy. And now we have a few people who are actually pushing back a little bit, not quite everything we need to see, but we are seeing now some good news and some bad news from the world of sports. We're going to talk about three different stories today, but the top story today is a team in Tampa Bay that is refusing to wear, because of their Christian standards and convictions, refusing to wear LGBTQ plus promoting pins for Pride Month. And guys, this should be every company, every team, everywhere. It should be extremely rare to see anybody coming out and supporting a certain sexual preference. Like, supporting sexual preferences in sports, that's not what sports is about. It's not about your sexual preference. It has nothing to do with sex. The cheerleaders in the NFL notwithstanding. The point is, that's not what sports is about. It should be very rare that a team decides to define their team based on promoting a sexual desire and a sexual preference. But yet now it's abnormal for people to refuse. But we're going to give credit where credit is due to those who refuse. We'll dive into the team. It's the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk about the story here in just a minute. Before we do, I'm Pastor Josh Barnes. This is the show where this is Point of View, the show where we're unashamed to look at political, social, cultural, and even theological issues from a biblical worldview. We do that because Jesus died on the cross, rose from the dead, and he said the Bible's true. And he proved he knew what he was talking about when he rose from the dead. And that means we can't be right about issues if we disagree with the Bible about those issues. Joining me today, as usual, is my brother, Jonathan Barnes, but I should call him the Honorable Sir Barnes. What is your official title now? He is now an elected official in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so I'm on the Republican County Committee for Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. So committeeman, I suppose.
Committee person.
That is yes, I guess that's the politically correct term, committee person. So I had my first meeting today and it went pretty well. I thought, I was intrigued. I was actually elected as the temporary, what is it called? I was elected as the temporary secretary. So I took the notes and then everything, and then they elected a permanent secretary and I gave her my notes. So that was kind of fun. Lots of back and forth, a lot of intrigue. They had a challenge for the for the chairman who runs kind of the show. So they had an election, a secret ballot election. That was they had speeches on both sides, and it was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Long for 3 hours, but it's good to be trying to do something if at a small level.
That's really cool. Although that's much smaller than the impact you have by being on Point of View. So,
right.
However, very, very cool. And we're in the presence of greatness today.
I just want to say it is now just the only brother without a title is Justin.
Justin, that's true.
That makes me happy.
If you guys follow the show every day, you know that Justin Barnes is his title is co-host of Point of View. And my title is pastor and host. And Jonathan's title is preferred host of Point.
I knew this was going to get us in trouble. Here we go.
Justin never watches the shows he's not on anyway. Let's move along. Let's talk. Jonathan, you brought up this topic. This is the Tampa Bay Rays, which is a baseball team. Am I right?
Yeah, Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Now, honestly, what the Devil Rays do is not usually of interest to me. I'm a Red Sox fan, so they're kind of the enemy, like the Yankees and the Orioles and all them, and the Blue Jays. They're in the same division, so usually I'm like, yeah, well, I just want the Rays to lose. However, there was a story that recently took place where the Devil Rays said, look, we're going to have this patch on our sleeve. And it's going to be, kind of, I think it's similar to what their normal logo was, but instead of the regular colors, it was going to be all rainbow and going to have the whole rainbow / trans colors in there. And yes, several of the players, I think it was 5 or 6 of them, stood up and said, yeah, we're not doing this. And as a reason, they said it's for religious reasons, and we don't believe that Jesus would want us to behave in a manner such as this. We don't believe that he'd want us to promote this. They were very gracious with it. They said over and over and over. They had one guy that they elected as their spokesman, but this guy said, we don't hate anybody. We don't want to offend anybody really, but we just can't in good conscience do this. And that is because of what we believe as Christians. Again, we do not want to rub it in anybody's face. They tried to make it low key, and you can guess which side of the aisle decided, no, this needs to be a big story.
Yeah.
This
well, actually, I've got a news report here. Let's see how fair they covered this. This is from Channel 8, which I guess is a local news there in Tampa Bay.
Well, tonight, some Tampa Bay Rays players are making headlines for their decision to not wear gay pride logos during Saturday's Pride Night at Tropicana Field. Eddie, your side reached out to some of those players, and we heard back from pitcher Ryan Thompson, who told us the players' decision was based on their religious beliefs, saying in part, if I believe the Bible is infallible and that everlasting life is attainable, yet I bow down to public opinion in the name of tolerance, is that love? I don't think so. Instead, my view is to love my neighbor from all walks of life. Thompson also says he has seen an outpouring of support following his decision. By the way, if you want to read the entire comment from Ryan Thompson in the article, we have it posted on WFLA.com.
Well, that was actually pretty fair coverage. You don't see that in the mainstream. Probably it's because it's a local news station.
Yeah.
That was extremely fair. She just reported what happened and didn't seem like she was angry about it, although she may have been. It's fascinating to me that this is something that gets people angry, because he was absolutely right. I mean, let me read that again. If I believe the Bible is infallible and that everlasting life is attainable, yet I bow down to the public opinion in the name of tolerance, is that love? The answer is no. It is not loving to say yes to whatever anybody says that they want. Whatever they feel like is good. Is loving to just affirm people's feelings? No, it's not. It's not loving to affirm people's feelings. I know this because I'm a father, and I have children who feel like they want dessert after every single meal instead of every single meal. And the loving thing to do is not for me to say, okay, well, you feel like it, so here you go. Here's ice cream for breakfast. No, the loving thing to do is say, no, this is not good. This is not helpful. And as Christians, we know that homosexuality is not only not helpful and not good, it is an abomination to God. There is no question about this. This is stated very clearly in Scripture. We've talked about it on the show before. I talked about how the objections to that are just nonsense. This is very clear in Scripture. There's no doubt about it. So it is not loving for us to then put patches on our arm that promote the things that God hates and that destroy people, destroy nations, destroy families, destroy homes, destroy churches, this is not good stuff. And we should stand for what is right and for what is helpful. And that's what's really loving. And man, I commend him. What were, Jonathan, do you have right handy any of the negative tweets that came? I was really hoping that this would have been more negative for us to respond to.
I don't, but I know that ESPN, obviously, one of the normal culprits when it comes to reporting on practically everything except for sports. ESPN had a woman on one of their shows that just excoriated them and said that they were literally attacking gay people and that, gay rights are going to take a hit because these players weren't putting a patch on their shirt. And that, come on. It's like, like gay people aren't going to eat. Like, people will throw them out of the grocery store because there's a few Tampa Bay Rays players who don't think that it's, okay with God to put a gay pride patch on their shirt. But by the way, I would kind of be against putting a patch on your shirt that says, I really enjoy having straight sex. Why do you have to talk about sex? This is a sport.
Yeah,
I don't understand Pride Month anyways, because who cares? You guys were the ones who said to begin with, if I'm talking to, the LGBTQ crowd, you're the ones who said, leave us alone. You're the ones that said, what happens in the bed is none of your concern. And now you want it to be all our concern, and you better support us.
Yeah.
Why? I thought we weren't supposed to care about it. Now we have to. Now people have to be, ripped apart on the news and on, ESPN because they happen to not agree with you based on who you sleep with. Come on. Yeah. This is ridiculous.
It's
Why
like
has this turned so far?
It's like saying it's like if someone said, "Listen, Josh, in order to have your show, you have to put on a pin on your shirt to promote alcoholism." I would say, no, that's not good for people, and that's against the scripture. So I'm not for alcoholism. No, I'm not going to wear the pin. Well, listen, alcoholics aren't going to get jobs, and you're going to hurt alcoholic rights. No, I don't think that's the case. But I'm not promoting the thing. I'm not that is not an action against alcoholics. It's actually an action of love for alcoholics. But because they don't have to continue to be alcoholics. But even so, I'm not even saying that they should stop being alcoholics, am I? I'm just not going to promote alcoholism, right? And this is the point. This is just complete nonsense. We need even more pushback. We need the Rays to come out and just be like, look, this is a damaging thing that hurts people, and we're going to be completely 100% against it, of course. But I appreciate what they did. This is great. This is good. This is helpful, and this is the least that we should see every team just saying, listen, we're not going to promote any kind of sexuality at all on our field. We're just going to talk. Right. We're just going to have fun playing sports.
Yeah. Yeah. Sports was always a way to escape. Right. But now it's increasingly becoming so politicized. Everybody has to have an opinion. Everybody has to jump into the ring. Just let the guys play sports.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be how we get away from the world and get away from this stuff. And we can all kind of come together. I like this team. You like the same team. We could have totally different backgrounds, agree on nothing else. But we can come together for a couple of hours and, we're best friends because, hey, we both want that team to beat the other team or vice versa. And it's just, even with opponent fans, it's always it's a good time. Why? That's increasingly becoming rarer and rarer because we're putting things like politics and this LGBTQ ideology, we're shoving it down everybody's throats, and it's not helpful.
Well, and this is a family pastime, right? This is something to do with the family. Never should you see promotions of any sexual related anything at a family gathering. Like, no, this is, by the way, another reason why we get mad at the theology behind churches that wave LGBT flags because it's theologically bankrupt and awful and terrible. But we often forget also that children and families are going to that church and are being reminded of sexuality when they walk into the church. I mean, it would be wrong to fly a straight pride flag in front of a church because we're not coming to church to think about sex, right? That's not the point. This is a family atmosphere.
Well, as we've seen though, especially this June and even especially just this year as a whole, LGBTQ really doesn't care about your definition of family events because they'll have a drag show with kids. They'll have pride parades where people are actually naked with nothing on, with the most profane things all over their bodies, and they'll run right up to kids.
They'll have a lesbian kiss in a Pixar movie. I mean,
yeah, everything is sex is supposed to be for kids according to LGBTQ. It's one of the worst parts about it. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are wrong that go together with it, but the fact that they are absolutely groomers is just despicable.
Yeah. Now, I told everyone we had 3 stories. That was a good story. I've got another good story from the world of sports. Jonathan, you've got a negative one though. What's our second story here?
Yes. Is this Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow thought it was, he being the center of attention that he has been for a couple of months because he happened to get to the Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals, even though the Bengals were really not Super Bowl caliber for most of the year. They just kind of snuck in and then they got annihilated. But that means Joe Burrow needs to tell us what to do with our guns. So isn't that something that makes you happy? You know, wouldn't you like some guy who's, you know, second year in the NFL, which means he's barely in his 20s, just out of the super liberal school like LSU, and I'm not ragging on LSU. I'm not a fan of the LSU Tigers, but every school is, you know, a cesspool of this far left nonsense. So I guess it's not really a thing on Joe Burrow, but, you know, if this is how you think, how about you just shut up and stop talking? Nobody needs to hear your gun ideas, and you're going to hear from him himself. He's just an idiot. He's just not a smart person. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And this is what you get a lot of times when the left tries to talk about guns and, the types of guns that we have and the laws that we should have. And they talk about laws that we should have that we already have and far more, but they still preach that we need to have all of these gun laws. Come on, just shut up until you know what you're talking about. At least, can you at least do that, please?
Let's run this video. I think I'm starting at the right place. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Here we go. Here's a report on this scenario.
Hi, George.
Yeah, Joe and the Bengals team have discussed some of the major questions facing society the past couple of years. So today he was asked about the current gun law debate. The Bengals are in their final week of off-season workouts, and afterwards Burrow met the media. He says any talk about the gun debate has not been discussed in a team setting like some of the other issues, but he did share his personal view on the gun law debate.
If you're not going to outlaw everything, you got to at least make it harder to get those crazy guns that everybody's using. I don't think you should be able to.
Crazy guns everybody's using. You gotta make it harder to get those crazy guns.
If you're not gonna outlaw guns, you gotta at least make it hard to get. Do you understand how hard it is to get them already, Joe Burrow? You do not. Guaranteed you do not, because there are laws that require rigorous background checks. I have guns. I've gone through them. You don't just walk up to a counter and get a gun. The so-called gun show loophole, that's non-existent. You go to a gun show, you will be put through the exact same background checks, unless somebody breaks the law and you're trying to create laws. So if they're going to break the law, they're going to break the law. They don't care. Okay? There are no laws that this guy is trying to promote here that aren't already on the books. So what are you talking about? And crazy, what is a crazy gun? Like, come on.
These crazy guns. Yeah,
what is a crazy gun?
And that's the problem. Like, these guns, you know, they act like certain guns kill people, are more dangerous than other guns. No, certain people are more dangerous than other people because they're not interested in preserving life. They're interested in just indiscriminately taking life, right? So people are more dangerous than other people, sure, but there's no gun that is more dangerous than another gun. It's all about whose hands it's in. And really, most of these guns, AR-15 and all this other stuff, they're very similar in their capacity to kill, right? It's just all about the size of the magazine, really. How many shots you can hold. You can get off shots just as quickly in most handguns. Yeah, it's a little easier with an AR-15. It's not a huge difference, right? We're not talking about one gun being more deadly than other. Guns are designed to kill people, and they are very good in killing bad guys. They're very bad in the hands of bad guys who want to kill good guys. And
if you're going into a school where nobody's armed at all to kill children, and the officers wait outside for an hour and a half, it doesn't matter if you have a single shot musket, you're still going to kill a bunch of people. I mean, how many times do we have to say that the best way to stop a guy with a gun is to have a gun? You know, the only reason that these magazines would even make any difference is because you have to stop to reload. That doesn't matter if nobody else has a gun. You're still going. There's nobody to stop you. You're just going to keep shooting them. You could have a handgun with 9 rounds in a clip. You could still have a ton of clips and still go in and commit a mass shooting. It might be a little bit easier with a higher capacity magazine, But if nobody's there to stop you, it's not going to matter. In the end, the same amount of people are going to still die.
Yeah. Yeah. And people think that fully automatic weapons are legal. They are not. I don't think they should be illegal, but they are illegal. But the point is, even in the scenario we're talking about, Jonathan, the police here in this scenario with this last school shooting were also bad guys with guns. Like, they weren't going out and shooting people, but they had guns and they were not defending people. They were standing by for an hour and a half. What we need is good guys with guns who are willing to defend others. And we talked about this before, how self-defense isn't the primary purpose for having guns. It is neighborly defense. It is defending other people is the point, right? It's not a selfish thing for you to carry a weapon. It is a selfless thing, because you're now saying, I'm willing to put myself in harm's way, pull out a gun, and be shot at in order to defend other people. That's what the police are supposed to do. They're not doing it, which makes it even more important that we do it for ourselves.
Right.
Let me finish this. We'll finish this little clip that's just so wonderful.
Just walk in there and buy one. You got to be able to go through, a rigorous process to be able to buy something like that, I think. So
you already do.
Hopefully the people that get paid to make those decisions figure that out. My job is to play football, but hopefully the politicians can figure that one out.
Joe and the Bengals have their final offseason workout on Thursday, then a 6-week break before training camp begins the final week of July. I'm George Vogel, WLWT News 5.
That was, by the way, WLWT
arrogance.
News 5.
Just the arrogance of this guy. I just play football, I really don't. I mean, whatever. I don't really care. But, hopefully these guys that don't play football and it's their job, maybe they'll figure this out. Shut up. Just shut your stupid mouth. Yeah. This is already a thing. Like, Joe Burrow, have you ever tried to buy a gun? You have not, because clearly you're asking for laws that already exist. Shut up. Stop trying to push this thing that you have no idea of what the facts are. You have no concept of this. You just
even
go
says,
out and spew your talking points. Just shut up.
He even said
that's your job.
They shouldn't just be allowed to walk in and pick up a gun. Nobody can do that. That's not how buying guns works.
It works.
Clearly never has bought a gun before. Yeah. So let's just do this. So we had one example so far today of a sports team they were being asked to push a sexual agenda and said, listen, we're not going to do that, even though it's expected of us, and they're hated for it. Now we have a guy who's being asked about a political thing that he should just say, yeah, listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm here to play football, which is what the Rays did, right? The Tampa Bay Rays, they said, no, we're here to play baseball. We're not here to do sex stuff. Okay. Yeah, for real. And then here we have this guy who's like, no, I'm here to play football, but I'm going to also give you my opinion on how guns are all wrong, even though I obviously know nothing about the scenario. And then we have this final example. This is from Khari Willis, who is a former player now on the Colts. He said this: I'd like first to thank the Indianapolis Colts organization for granting me the opportunity to compete in the National Football League the past 3 years. I've built lifelong relationships with numerous teammates, coaches, and support staff that have impacted me greatly. The lessons that I've learned in this phase of my life will be valuable for me in my next chapter. With much prayer and deliberation, I have elected officially to officially retire from the NFL as I endeavor to devote the remainder of my life to the further advancement of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I thank all of my family, friends, and those who have supported me on this journey thus far, and I look forward to your continued support through the next phase of my life. I am both humbled and excited to pursue the holy call that God has for my life, which brings me much joy and purpose. Thank you for all your support over the years. God bless. Khari Willis. Now this is awesome. Like, this is what we need to see from Christian people, that it doesn't matter if you're playing football or if you're, cleaning you're doing a janitor at the local school. It doesn't really matter what level you think, how important your job is. Your life is not for your job. Your life is for Christ. Find out how to live your life for Christ, what you can do to make an impact on the people around you, the world. Just have an impact and serve Christ with your life, because otherwise you've just wasted your life. As Christians, we've got to come back to this, where we see this as our purpose. And I love that as he's resigning, he's saying, here's the reason I'm resigning. I got everything I need out of the football, and now I don't feel like I can serve God anymore as a football player. I want to serve him as not a football player. This is how Christian people should make their choices.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a hero from the National Football League. You've got a lot of people who masquerade as heroes. You got people, oh, I can run the fastest, I can throw the farthest, I can do all these things. But that takes guts. You talk about the sacrifice of these guys. This guy did the same thing. If you're in the NFL, you're one of the few elite athletes in the entire world that can do that. That is not something to be taken lightly. So he put a lot of dedication. He put a lot of time and effort into training his body and to learning things that the vast majority of us will never do. And yet he was willing to just kind of walk away from it all and say, there's something bigger. There's something better, and that's what I want. And if you want a hero in your life, forget these sports guys. That's who you want. That's what really matters. And, hats off to him. I hadn't even heard about this story, but that's really inspiring. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that I'm constantly reminding people as a pastor, and this, of course, is, part of my job. But it's often we can get this idea as Christians that being a Christian makes my life better, right? And God, Jesus has just given me an abundant life, is one of the things they say. But being a Christian isn't about having a better life. You have a better eternity. That's guaranteed. That's coming. You don't have to worry about that. That's the benefit for you for being a Christian, is you don't have to go to hell. You're going to heaven. You're going to be with God forever, right? Now, certainly God is with you and he helps you through your life. But the thing about your life is it's not about you anymore, right? It's about what you can do for Christ and what you can do for him. And I love this. He says, look, I want to live the remainder of my life, devote the remainder of my life to the further advancement of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's it. I mean, that's it right there. It's the gospel of Jesus Christ. We need to let people know that Jesus died on the cross, rose from the dead, and they need to repent of their sin and turn to him. But that's not a popular thing, because it starts with the fact that we're sinners and we need somebody to die in our place, because we're going to die and go to hell if we don't have salvation. Nobody wants to hear that they're a sinner. But, that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's so very, very important. Jonathan, I'd give you the last word, but we're out of time. And so that works out perfectly, because I don't want to give you the last word. Thanks for joining us today on Point of View. We'll see you next time.